Hi, my name is Amanda. In this video, I'm going to tell you about our Kekchi radio project. In 2017, my husband and my two children and I moved to Guatemala. We lived there for 2.5 years among the Kekchi Mayan people. These people generally do not speak Spanish. There were two people in our village that spoke Spanish well enough to translate from Spanish to Kekchi when we held meetings. But the rest of them didn't speak Spanish, hardly at all. They're very precious people, very simple, very poor, hardworking people. We grew very close to our neighbors while we were there. We ended up leaving due to my husband's illness while we were there. And it was one of the hardest decisions that we made, was to leave. It was very sad, and it was very sad for our neighbors. We had become very attached to them as we were trying to help them with their medical needs, with agriculture, different ways, however we could, to gain their trust. And we also shared literature in their language, and we're trying to reach to them spiritually. But we had to leave, and ever since we left, we've still had them on our hearts. And it was last year, in March of 2021, that I saw a video from AWR. It was AWR 360 video about Nepal, and it reminded me so much of the village in Guatemala where we had lived. The people lived in a very similar way, they looked similar, and I realized that it was radio that the Mayan people needed. Number one, because they don't read very much or very well. There are very few books in their language, and they also live far from roads a lot of times, without electricity, often without cell phone signal, and so it's difficult to reach them by foot, because you've got to walk pretty far to get to all of them. And there are a few people with our faith that speak their language. Anyway, but radio can go very quickly where people can't. So anyway, that was my dream, and I would tell people about it. Maybe you watching this have heard me talk about it. And then, unbeknownst to me, the Adventist Church in Guatemala actually purchased a radio station for the Kekchi people last year in October. While I was still dreaming about how could I help, get a radio station going for Guatemala. Well, just a few weeks ago, I found out that there actually was already a radio station purchased for them. So I was really excited. That is really a dream come true for me, even though I had nothing to do with it, but I did pray about it. And we had contacted someone that we had met while we were in Guatemala. His name is Manuel. And we were asking him if he would be willing to make audio recordings in Kekchi that could be shared through smartphones. But he's the one that told us that the radio had been purchased. Now, there's still work to be done, because there's a need of more Kekchi programming. Only 10% of, there's about 3 hours a day that the radio station is broadcasting in the Kekchi language, and all the rest of the time it's in Spanish, because they don't have enough material in Kekchi. So our friend Manuel is super excited about this, and he just wants to devote his life to working for his people. And he's tried doing things like this before, but he ran out of resources, and we want to keep his flame going. We want to support him to reach his people. Now, the Kekchi people, they are not that far away from the United States. They live in Guatemala, just south of Mexico. And there are over 1 million people who speak the Kekchi language, but there are very few Adventists among them. And I think they're kind of a forgotten people. There are a lot of people that don't know about them. And there are Adventists in Guatemala, but they're mostly of the Latino population. And there's a separation in general between the Latino population and the Mayan population in Guatemala. A lot of the Latino Spanish speakers live in the cities and the Mayan people live in the mountainous regions. And so there's a little bit of cultural separation between the two groups. Um, so that's, I think, one reason why they haven't been reached so much, and their language, because they don't speak Spanish, that limits them from hearing the gospel in their language. So anyway, our friend Manuel, he is on board. He's not waiting for us to find people to sponsor him. He's already started working, and so we need sponsors for him. And the Guatemalan minimum wage is about $385 a month. Right now we have no sponsors for Manuel, so just getting up to that, $400 a month approximately to be able to support him in his work would be awesome. Now his work is worth more than minimum wage for sure. He used to work as a director of schools, and anyway, he's already translated a book. He's very qualified for what he's doing. But anyway, so if God puts it on your heart to sponsor him, even a child, if you have an allowance or some way of making money, $5 a month, it can make a difference. $10, $20, $50, $100. We're trying to right now at least get to minimum wage, which would be about $400 a month. And if you just have a one-time donation that you would like to give, that would be awesome too. That would help. So I hope you enjoyed this video and hope you have a blessed day.